I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only
What's
one.
up, everybody? Welcome to my channel.
No one
I'm
likes being
Sunshinery. Make
lied
sure
to.
to subscribe and like this video.
You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now
All the rest of us were able to make mistakes and do things. She did hers live on TV. And the two most known relationships were extremely toxic.
Since my last dating experience, I took a year off. I got back into dating, but I was only dating one person. We're advised not to kiss on the first date.
Definitely want to kiss on the first date. 100%. All these guys throughout your life, probably they have chosen you, but you haven't chosen them. You're literally tying your self-worth to sex.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. We are here for, again, another Rache Goes Rogue podcast episode. We are on chapter 34. Rachel goes on a date. I mean, we knew that she was now dating again. She did take some time off, but this is what she has to say regarding the podcast episode. Rachel is getting ready to get back into the dating pool. It's time for her to face her past mistakes and see if she can do better. Well, I guess it's time for us to see if she's realized what her past mistakes are and if she really can do better and maybe open her eyes to a different horizon and maybe find a man that is sweet and sincere and caring and actually truly means it and wants the best for her. Because as much as we might not like Rachel, I know, for me at least, that I just want the best for everybody. Everybody in their life deserves peace and happiness, even her. So I hope that she can see the past mistakes that she's made, because that will only make her stronger, and also see what she needs in a real man to have a nice, happy life. So let's buckle up. Make sure to like this video, subscribe if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, and make sure your notification bell is set to all. All right, let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of Rachel Goes Rogue. This is your host, Rachel Savannah Leviss, and I am getting back into the dating world. I'm hoping to manifest a fun summer fling with a good quality guy. I have my producers here, and it's an exciting time.
So, Rachel, it's been a year. We're about to talk to a dating expert. How are you feeling about even just doing this interview and dating now?
I'm feeling ready to date, definitely. I feel like I've gotten my life in order enough where I'm open to that. I feel like it's time. And I feel like summer is a fun season to do that. There's so many activities to get involved with the hot weather. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And what are you looking for in a guy this go around?
I'm looking for someone who is safe and reliable and emotionally mature, emotionally stable, and someone who's going to treat me right.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's get into it. Let's see.
She's looking for a summer fling, though. She's pretty much at the middle of the summer, considering that she did this the end of June. So that's interesting. But I'm glad that she's going to have a dating expert on to kind of lead her into a direction that might find her this man that she's looking for, and maybe it will become more than a summer fling. You never know who you will meet. When the timing is right, it will happen. And that was always something always said to me, never understood it until it actually happened to me. So she needs to just let it all flow as it goes and see where it goes from there. Let's get into it, I guess. Let's hear what this dating expert has to say.
I wanted to bring in a dating expert to guide me in this re-entry into the dating world and to date in a healthy way. Hi, Jake.
Hey, Rach.
Thanks for joining me today. I'm very excited to have you on as a guest.
Excited to be here, my friend.
I've been following you on social media and seeing some of your clips you've been posting, your relationship advice, and I love how you're like, "Give me a call, we can talk about it." Love that.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Want to
yeah.
help as many people as I can.
So, you have a book out. It's called How to Achieve a 10 out of 10 Relationship.
Yeah.
What is considered a 10 out of 10 relationship to you?
It's basically, I would say, basically a perfect relationship. Now,
Okay.
in saying that, Rach, the word perfect kind of gets a bit of a bad rap. People look at it as a negative thing and nothing can be perfect, blah, 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 blah. How I see perfect is I would say there's no room for improvement. Like you look at it and go, I wouldn't want to change it. It seems absolutely incredible to me. That's 10 out of 10.
Are you in a 10 out of 10 relationship right now? I'm
Yeah, of
just curious.
course. Yeah.
Okay, so you're speaking from experience.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I think a 10 out of 10 relationship for me in that type of way would be like growing together and helping each other grow together as a unit. And, I haven't been in one of those types of relationships before or yet. But I'm definitely like looking into manifesting like a fun summer fling that could lead to something more serious. But right now I'm kind of like dating to expand my own experience and to learn more about myself.
Okay. Good. Good. You doing a high value dates? Yeah.
I don't know. To achieve a 10 out of 10 relationship when there is so much imperfection in this world, nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Other people aren't perfect. It's hard. It's especially hard with all of the outside influences, social media, all that we have nowadays. I would say for me, when looking at an example of a 10 to 10 relationship, it would be my grandparents. They had an amazing, healthy, respectable, incredible, adventurous, wonderful marriage. And when I even just hear my grandmother talk back on stories of everything her and my grandfather did, it just is like, it doesn't exist. Like, I wish that it did. And I know that it can exist, but with everything going on in the world that we live in, there are more obstacles in the way than there was before. And I think that challenges a lot of different people in situations, especially in relationships. And I wouldn't say my relationship's a 10 out of 10 right now with my boyfriend, but I would give it a good 8.5. There are things that we both need to work on, and we both understand that. He has his own struggles, just like I have my own struggles. He's somebody that holds in the emotion where I outwardly project my emotion and just want him to listen. And sometimes that's hard, but hey, it works. We sit down, we talk, and usually we get through it. That's what matters. I don't know if a summer fling could lead to a 10 out of 10 if that's what she's looking for, but there is always hope that with dating, you will find that person that's right for you. And that's what I said in the beginning, like I never comprehended what people said. Oh, the timing will happen when it's right. What do you mean when it's right? When will this happen? What do you mean you'll know when you know? You will know when you know. That timing and meeting somebody, it happens interconnectively without you realizing, and you will know when that comes in your life. And she might have felt love and compassion for people before, especially like James, who she was with for a long time. But those were stepping stones and learning lessons to understand what she now wants for herself in relationships to have a better, healthy relationship, and what she can do to love herself, value herself, to be able to love somebody else. I think that's a big takeaway that I'm ranting about now. But what do you guys think? What is your 10-10 perfect relationship? Let me know down below.
Good. You doing a high value dates? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would love to go on a high value date. Since my last dating experience, I took a year off and I got back into dating, but I was only dating one person. Um, and they were high value dates, but maybe you can explain what a high value date is to the listener. But I was just dating this one person. And I was also wondering from your perspective as a dating coach, I've heard other dating coaches talk about having few people that you date in the beginning and having kind of like this Olympic lineup, your first, second, third place contenders. And then once you figure out like who this person is and how you feel around them, then you can choose to make it exclusive. So what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on all that?
Yeah, you can kind of have a roster. So I recommend by about the third date, you're exclusive with somebody. But before that third date, you can talk to multiple people at once. So a normal person can probably talk to about maybe 5 people at once without getting the stories confused. If you just talk to one person at once, it may take years to find your ideal partner. But if you have a bit of a roster and then you swap them off, now you don't need to sleep with all 5 people. You don't need to actually go on dates. It's more just talking to them and seeing which one's a good match kind of a thing. Yeah, that's the key. Now, what a high value date is, 4 parts to a high value date. All right. Now, it's very important you only do high value dates, Rachel, properly. So guys see you as a high value woman. They see you as a better viable option to marry and all that sort of stuff. Now, a high value date basically in a nutshell means a decent amount of effort. So I want a guy to put in a decent amount of effort if he wants to see you. Now, so the 4 parts, the first part, he'll ask you on a date and he'll pick you up, open the car door for you, do all the chivalry stuff, right? And then usually what I recommend is doing some sort of fun activity.
Mhm.
Now, fun activity can be basically anything. It could be mini putt-putt. It can be going on a boat. It could be anything. A million different fun activities. And then he takes you out to dinner. Okay, pulls out your chair for you. You have a beautiful evening. He's a good conversationalist. He pays for everything. Okay. And then he takes you home and hopefully he did a good enough job that you want to kiss him.
Okay.
I guess when you consider yourself a high profile female, you need to go on these high profile dates. I'm more of like a simple kind of gal. I like simplicity. Mine and Jake's first date was, going on a long hike up this beautiful mountain, getting to see the scenery together, enjoying that, and then going back to his place and he cooked dinner and we got to watch a movie and just talk some more. And then I went home that night. Like, simple. I don't need a fancy boat ride and, a $50 plate of food that I'm probably going to only eat half of, let's be real, or not even enjoy the restaurant because I'm not into fancy foods. Like, take me to a nice pizza restaurant. I mean, we have a lot of pizza places around here. I come from one of the biggest pizza places in the US. So, there's lots of great Italian food. And we've been on plenty of those dates as well. But when you consider yourself high profile, you need to have these high profile dates. And I feel also like dating, from when I was actually dating to what this generation considers dating and boyfriend and exclusive and all that, is much different than what we were doing when we were dating. And even my grandparents' time, it was a lot different. They courted people. Even my parents' generation, it was different. So I think with the generations, it's harder to understand, and what they consider dating might not be the same thing as what we used to consider dating. So, let me know what you think down below. Personally, I think Rachel is just putting herself on this pedestal that maybe she just needs to open her eyes to all different possibilities, and maybe then she will find a man that really respects her for her worth, her personality, and not her famousness or whatever money that she doesn't have, but that she claims she has. We'll go there. I did go petty a little bit.
In my recovery, right? Because I spent some time at a treatment facility to work on, the love addiction and falling too fast for a person without getting to know them first. And with like a dating plan, I guess we're advised not to kiss on the first date. And maybe this is like advice to someone that falls too quickly, but what are your thoughts on that? I see you're shaking your head no.
We can't let fear derive our future. Okay, we got to do things the right way. But at the same time, if we're too scared of love and we put too many walls up, it's never going to happen. So there's nothing wrong with falling in love. We just got to do it with the right person. We want to fall in love. Being in love is fantastic. Achieving a 10 out of 10 is the best thing anyone can achieve, but we just want to do it at the right pace. So definitely want to kiss on the first date, 100%. If you got a fantastic, beautiful romantic date, the guy goes in for a kiss and you do this, he's going to go, oh, okay, no worries. He's not calling again. There's no way. Why? It's such a huge rejection. Okay. Yeah. You gotta not let fear run your life. It's a key to failure.
Okay. Maybe then before committing to like a full on date like that, where it's an activity and a dinner, I would probably want to get to know somebody like on more of a personal friendship level. I think doing a fun activity is awesome and definitely like a good way to get to know somebody that's a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. Like I want to be able to see how this person interacts with their friends. So I feel like group dates are a good idea or just no. Okay, you're shaking your head no again. So why not a group date environment?
It takes away the spark of romance.
Okay.
We got to do it properly, Rach. If you're holding yourself back too many times, which I feel like you're doing, the romance is never going to happen. There's going to be no spark. There's going to be no chemistry ignited. It's supposed to be romantic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We can't be afraid of romance.
Well, I guess I kind of am a little afraid of romance.
What's the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario for me would be falling in love with somebody that I don't, someone who's not a good quality person.
Yep.
And getting attached.
Yeah. It's an important thing to realize. It takes a lot more than love to make a relationship work.
I will say getting to know somebody and how they interact on a friend level is very important. And I know that not everyone can, just meet somebody that's friends with their friends and it just work out that way. I mean, technically that's how it worked out with me and my boyfriend. He was actually my ex's friend. I had interactions with him way before that point. And after we were both single, that's when, we decided to go on a date. With Rachel, she needs, yes, to be more careful because she's more vulnerable, because she's high profile. She needs to get to know somebody. She needs to get to talk to them first. She needs to see if she can hold a conversation with this person and be able to get to know them on a friendship level before maybe going on that first date. And I do agree with him. I don't think that you should set the no kiss rule on the first date. I also agree with him that you'll never find romance if you do group dates, because if your friend doesn't like the guy that she's with or doesn't like the guy that you're even with, like, that could cause issues if you do like the person that you are on a date with, or she's just having a miserable time with her date, that you're end up going to be comforting your friend. So I think Rachel has a lot of work still ahead of her, and I think she's just still very vulnerable. She's vulnerable to the sense of not wanting to get into a horrible relationship again and giving it her all and it being wrong. She needs to be ahead of the game and see these red flags for what they are. There were multiple red flags with Scumdevil. There were multiple red flags with even James. She chose to ignore the red flags and keep going, and that was her first mistake. These are things that she needs to go with her gut feeling. It's something I've had to learn, even with friendships, to go with my gut feeling on how I feel about somebody, because more than likely my gut is right. And when I don't go with my gut feeling, that's when I get hurt. So it's the same with her. And that takes time. It's going to take time. And is she rushing into this too soon? Maybe. She's still very vulnerable, in my opinion. But I get it. She's getting older. She wants to find love. that's on her then. She needs to be aware of everything that's going on around her then. And opening her eyes to different types of people that she might not normally date, because those might be the people that end up being perfect for her. She'll never know if she doesn't try.
Okay. So even if you do fall in love with somebody, you have to fall out of love with them if they're the wrong person. Okay. Loving someone or not loving someone is somewhat of a choice. It may not be an immediate choice, what you can feel, but you definitely can try to master those emotions. Okay. Mastering your emotions is a fairly large part of achieving a 10 out of 10 relationship, because your emotions lead a lot of people on the wrong path. Fall in love with the wrong people, give people too many chances, make excuses for bad people, date low value people, date down, all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty common. But if you master your emotions, so your emotions work for you, you're in control, you lead the journey. So you go, well, I don't care. I'm going to do actions over emotions. I'm going to choose who I want to be with. I'm going to choose the best option, but then also fall in love with the right person, really make that intentional decision. You're in control of who you get attached to. So a lot of girls think if they sleep with a guy one time that they're going to be instantly attached and then they can't break free from this guy. Not the case. You definitely can. Okay. Yes, you may feel hurt emotions, but you don't have to let that ruin your life. That's just part of being a human.
For sure. I think for me, like falling into the unhealthy patterns and, really making this person the center of my universe has been something that I'm more prone to do. And so for me, there is that little fear piece that I will continue to do that.
Yep. There's one solution I teach, Rachel, for clingy type people, because I was like that as well. It's called time over time. So what I teach in the first month of dating somebody, you see them once a week for the first month, maximum. That's it. So you may go on a date with them on Saturday night or something. If they want to see you any other night, you go, no, I'm busy. I'm doing my hobbies. I'm going to do this. I'm doing that. I'm doing this. I'm hanging out with my sister. I'm busy, but I'd love to see you on Saturday. Just for the first month, it's called time over time. You can talk every day, but you only can see each other once a week.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like that's hard too, because when you do enjoy somebody and you want to hang out with them again because you enjoy their company, um, it's hard to set that boundary for yourself and follow that through. But if you're taking it seriously and know that like, all right, there's something to this and it's going to protect myself in the long run, then I think that's really good advice.
100%. And a big part of mastering your own emotions is getting really good at setting boundaries with yourself.
I'm kind of digging his go on one date a week for a month rule. I mean, most normal people have a normal job where they are usually preoccupied with working and, yes, maybe hobbies, doing other things, that once a week is actually more doable than somebody like Rachel, who has more free time on her hands and wants to just invest everything she has into somebody new. I think that's a good step for her. Do I think that is advice that she might not take? Probably. Boundaries, very important. Even in friendships, you need to set boundaries, especially with things that you don't agree with what people are doing. And boundaries are healthy. And if people cannot respect boundaries, then that shows you also who that person is, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, that they can't respect your boundaries and they don't respect you enough for those boundaries, that this might not be the best suitable option for you. That's a red flag. Like, you know what I mean? So I think she needs to learn boundaries and setting boundaries for herself, whether it be like I'm dating somebody or I'm dating multiple people. These are the boundaries I have set for myself. I think that would be a great help for her as well as many other people.
Yeah. Super important. Anyone listening, I want you to really practice that time over time part. Is super important, because how you feel about the person and what you know about them logically needs to go up at the same pace. If you see someone every day for the first 2 weeks, how you feel about them's up here, but what you know about them's down here. If you only see them once a month, it's reverse, which is no good either. Once a week seems to be a pretty good pace to feel and know about them logically about the same pace. So very important.
What kind of questions should you be asking on dates to get to know somebody quicker?
Yeah. Ideally, dates are supposed to be light and fluffy. Okay. So no deep and meaningful conversations, no hard questions. Then it's about having fun, building attraction, embracing masculine and feminine energy, building attraction, making memories, stuff like that. It should be really light and fluffy. So basically, we just want to let go on the date, have a good time, let the conversation flow naturally. You don't want to go on a date with a whole bunch of preconceived questions, hard questions, trying with the purpose of getting to know them, because that's not the reason we go on dates. The reason we go on dates is mainly just to have fun, not to get to know anybody, not to see if they're your ideal partner. That stuff's going to happen organically. All our purpose is we've got to stay on the purpose. So I'm just going to go and have fun. That's it. So I take my wife for a date every week, and my purpose is still just to have fun. It's not to get to know her more. It's just to have fun. If in having fun and doing activities and going out to dinner and doing all that sort of stuff, you'll just naturally, the other stuff will take care of itself.
Again, I think he's giving her really great advice. And even once you get into a relationship, even like me and my boyfriend, 9 years, we still try to make time to go on dates. And actually, in my Amazon shop, you can find this. It's these cool scratch-off dating game cards where it pretty much, you have to scratch it off and it'll give you an activity, and you can choose like if you want to plan to stay in an outdoor activity or going out, those kind of things. But you can pick one of those cards, and from there you scratch it off and you have to do what's on that card. I think those are so cool. We have so much fun with those. And it's also something that I love to give out as just like a cool little wedding gift with like the Polaroid camera, so you can capture each date and make a little scrapbook and all of that. I think that's very cool. And the whole point of going out on dates, yes, is to have fun and to let loose in that sense, where you are having a good time and getting to know somebody for who they are, and them have a good time with you. That is the whole purpose of a date. And if you do want to check out these dating cards, you can check them out on my Amazon shop, which is linked down below.
Okay. You're familiar with Rachel's television background, right? In Rachel's situation, while the rest of us were able to make mistakes and do things, she did hers live on TV. And the two most known relationships were extremely toxic. Is there a type of person that attracts that kind of a guy? Rachel's been working on herself tremendously. I can't help but wonder, the guys that are the not nice guys, that are the controlling guys, etc., do they seek out a type? And are there things that you can give Rachel as far as tips for things for her to look out for?
Yeah, 100%. Great question. And yes, they certainly do. Now, you guys probably can think of some women who never fall in with a bad crowd. They never hang out with any guys who are assholes. They always, their life goes really, really well. Okay. Then there's other girls who they go through 20 boyfriends. All of them are absolutely terrible. She goes through abuse, all this really horrific stuff, but it's also a pattern. She's in this pattern, this cycle, which keeps going and going and going. You can see some key differences sometimes in their behavior, often a lack of confidence, fear, insecurities, low self-esteem, low self-worth, all those type things. Guys who are snakes or overly controlling, abusive type people, they don't like people who have high self-esteem, high self-worth, because they know they can't really get anywhere with that particular person. Okay. So ideally, if you want to achieve a 10 out of 10, you've got to kind of become what you want to attract, which means good confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, get rid of any overthinking, self-sabotaging, fears, insecurities, things of that nature, building yourself up. There's lots of things that I do to help people do this. It's very, very important. But then what we're looking for as well, if you're a single female right now, you want to find a guy who's masculine, right? What does that mean? A lot of girls see masculine men as these egotistical, arrogant, controlling, abusive type guy, right? But that's quite the opposite of what masculine energy really is. Masculine energy is about being good with leadership, ambition, decisiveness, protection, things like that. A masculine guy is very solid, reliable. He's not going to let you down. He has high integrity. He says what he means what he says, stuff like that. You want to find a guy who's really solid, not flashy, but very solid and reliable, consistent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
First off, the producer lady didn't even let him answer the question to if he knew anything about Rachel's TV backgrounds. So, just wait, because it gets very much more interesting. Though, I do think he gives her very solid advice here. And that is exactly everything that I see in my boyfriend and so much more. And that's what a man is to me. That's how I was raised. That's what I saw in my grandfather, in my father, and what I did seek later on in my life when finding my boyfriend. Was it easier for me to kind of give in to the assholes and the losers and be the one to think that I could fix somebody or I could make them a better person? In that theory, yeah, it was what I was looking for, and it was looking for love in all the wrong places. And I feel like Rachel has that similar type where she likes those bad boys and she thinks she could be the one to change them and make them not a bad boy anymore. But she also really likes these very, what's the good word? I don't want to say the metrosexual word, but like the very flashy, like, look at me, egotistical kind of men. Which, listen, there are some guys that are very well maintained. They take good care of themselves. And then you have people like Sandoval and even James, where they were just overly into the way that they looked, and like one little hair out of place, oh my God, it was, the worst thing possible kind of a thing. But like I said before, her producer lady didn't really like his answer. So let's listen.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What tips can you give Rachel to, like, it's because the things that you're talking about do take work, right? Like not being insecure, not putting out those kind of vibes. What are other things that you can encourage her to do?
Yeah, for sure. So there's two main parts to improving yourself as a person. You've got internal and external motivators. Internal motivators are things we say to ourselves. Okay. Affirmations, reassurance, things of that nature. Okay. The words we say to ourselves are very important. Now, external motivators are also really important. The people you hang out with. These are your top 5 friends. What hobbies do you do? How's work going? How are you going with your environment, your immediate environment, your home, your office, all that sort of stuff? Is it really in good nature? How's your health and fitness? All those type of things. And then some other things which make a really, really big difference to our own mental strength and mental health are things like social hobbies. Okay. So I recommend everyone does 2 social hobbies per week. Okay. I love doing karate, but there's tons of social hobbies, but there's got to be social. That's the really, really important part. I also recommend hot and cold therapy. So doing ice baths twice a week, saunas twice a week. If you mix all that together with really meticulously going through every external motivator, your home, your friends, the people in your life, getting rid of anything that's toxic, only letting in the good stuff, it's going to make a big difference, mixed with saying the right things to yourself and ambitiously chasing goals and doing hard challenges and never letting fear hold you back. It's a good way to improve really fast.
Okay. Yeah. And with the social hobbies, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it to meet someone.
No, the chance of meeting someone at a social hobby is pretty slim. It's not impossible, but it's pretty rare.
Okay.
It's mainly just for you. It's mainly for you to grow as a person, become a more interesting person, and be part of a community. Very, very important for human beings.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I would say my social hobbies are dancing. I love ballroom dancing. I love line country dancing.
Perfect.
And then what else? I love hiking with my friends. I feel like that's a social hobby because we're talking while we're hiking.
Yeah.
And what else? I feel like there's another one. I'm considering getting into golf or tennis or pickleball this summer.
Good.
Could be fun. But right now I'm not on dating apps, and I don't have an interest to get on them. What is best way to meet someone when, like, I'm also not going to bars and I'm not drinking out socially. So where do I need to position myself to find somebody that's worthy of dating?
It's going to be very hard not using dating apps. It
Okay.
is. It's going to be challenging. Not impossible. I say be open to all possibilities. So look, you may meet your ideal partner at a cafe or at a sport or a social hobby or walking on the street. It's possible. But if you want a guy to approach you, the cold approach, so it's just called cold approach, which we used to do 15 years ago. And you just walk up to a pretty girl and you start talking. It's not really a thing that much anymore because social media has kind of killed it. Not social media, sorry, online dating. Because online dating has made it very easy for men. So we don't want to do the cold approach anymore because it's embarrassing. If you want a guy to do the cold approach, then you really got to shine super bright like a sunflower, basically, which will lure him in, but you really got to shine really bright. So really embracing that feminine energy and really shining. Online dating so much easier, Rachel. So much easier.
Really? Okay. I don't know. Maybe we could have a conversation about this because, yeah, I've been very anti online dating because, well, I was on this reality TV show and I don't know, I just don't want to meet random people and then just like judging them based off of a profile photo. And it just seems very, I don't know. I just haven't really considered it as a serious option. But I guess like in today's day and age, that is.
Now, don't get me wrong. I realize that this is her podcast, and in ways they are trying to help her with some of the things that she is still struggling with. And that's kind of maybe why her producer had that little bit of a toot, it sounded like. Like, what advice can you give to Rachel and her situation? But to me, it's like, I thought you were doing these podcasts to help other people while also helping yourself. But it just seems so much about her and not really about anybody else. Though this guy is giving excellent advice for everyone in a general sense and not just for her. And then when she was put on her spot about her hobbies, she really like had a tough time answering that. Though I could sit here and be like, well, she says that she likes, dancing and hiking. What about hot yoga? You didn't mention that. You're like so into the yoga and the, meditation and this meditation sensory church, all of that. But you didn't mention that. That's where she's like not good with coming up with things on the spot or thinking it, or processing it, as Lala would say. I know there's issues with Lala right now, but she does kind of come off as a robot in that sense. You got to give it to Lala on that. It's like she's malfunctioning. And then here we go again with not expanding her horizon. She's totally not in for the online dating, but yet she's not drinking. She's not, going to bars and doing things where she can possibly meet somebody. So, what is your next option? At least with online dating, it's more than just a photo, Rachel. You can connect with them, you can talk to them, you can see right away if they're a fucking dirtbag or if they're worth even talking to. And I get that we're on a reality TV show and like you think you're so famous. So like you're worried about that and people just like wanting to date you for your fabulous fame that you have, girl. But that's also like another way you can like eliminate these assholes that only want to date you for your fame. And do it before even going on a date with any of them, because you would get to talk to them first with the online dating. I think she just needs to try different things that maybe she is against or would never do, because those might give her an opportunity to find this perfect man that she's looking for and meet someone that is well-rounded and very mature that can handle everything that she puts on the table. Let's be real. I feel like, online dating is like lowering her standards kind of a thing. Girl, listen, love will find you and the timing will be right when it's right. And no matter what you do, whether it's online dating or meeting somebody while you learn pickleball or tennis, or you're on a hike and then there's other people on a hike and you just casually meet somebody, you'll know when that person is right for you. I promise. But if she doesn't open herself up, she'll never have those experiences.
An age that is the norm. And maybe that also explains why typically like the guy will come up to me and, ask me on a date. And that's how I get into a dating experience. And I feel like now that I realize that I'm attracting narcissistic men, maybe that's not the best scenario because the narcissistic men are probably more likely to ask you on a date in person than
Oh yeah.
a normal regular guy.
High value, masculine, solid guys, they're not looking to pick chicks up on the street. They're busy working on their goals, their hobbies, their ambitions, living their life to the fullest. If they see a pretty girl, they're like, oh, that's cool. And that's where the thought stops. That's what's really good about online dating, Rachel. It puts the power in your hands. See, all these guys throughout your life, probably they have chosen you, but you haven't chosen them. With online dating, you're doing the choosing. So it puts the power back in your hands and you can be a lot more picky. It kind of works the same as social media. So I imagine on Instagram or whatever, you probably get asked out sometimes by guys or they hit you up and stuff like that.
No, I have a more female following, so guys are not in my DMs.
Okay, I find that hard to believe. I'm sure there's some, surely, but okay.
It's like a little trickle, like not even a sprinkle, just a little drip.
Okay, surprising. Okay, so look, online dating's good just because it puts the power in your hands and you can be really picky. So even I'll help you make your profile one day if you want me to, but just on a Hinge, okay, set all your stuff right, nice photos. You don't even have to go on any dates, Rach. Just when you see a nice guy and he talks to you, you talk back, you have a bit of a conversation. See if you want to do a phone call. Phone call goes well. See if you want to do a FaceTime. That goes well. Then he takes you out on a nice date after that, if you want to. Super easy.
Now, we do know that she did seek James out, like she was going to his shows and making herself in the front stage area so that her presence was known, kind of a thing, so that maybe James would go up to her, kind of a thing. So maybe she's just so used to letting the guy lead the way that she doesn't know how to pursue actual like interaction with a guy that she likes. And yes, she's a wonderfully good-looking girl, so why wouldn't James have not talked to her? Of course he would have talked to her. She was even a model and, you know, going for that Miss America title. She was everything that James was looking for and more. But she knows how to put herself as, you know, center stage in the spotlight type of thing. She just doesn't have those opportunities because she's not going out. She's not going to bars. She's not doing things where there are maybe men out there. And maybe, yeah, she is still vulnerable and scared that she's going to attract the wrong type. And this is why she needs to take the initiative to go. And if she sees somebody that's, you know, interesting or hot or good looking, whatever it may be, go up and try and have a conversation with them and get to know them. See if they are single, vice versa, all of that. Like, there are ways you can better your opportunities and situations where you are not just waiting for Prince Charming to come save you from the Princess Tower and sweep you off your feet. Oops, as I threw my vape. And excuse the neighbor's dog for barking if you can hear that. Is it just me, or do I feel like he doesn't really have a good understanding of like Rachel's background and her being on a reality TV show and what the reality TV show was all about? I feel like he's giving advice for everybody, and she's like waving her hand in front of his face like, no, this is about me. Me. What advice do you have for me? I'm the one that needs the help. Though, like I said, this platform that she wanted to create was a chance to help others as well. And it's just not coming off that way, though. This dating expert is giving solid, amazing advice to her. And I just wish she'd maybe open her ears up a little bit and take some of that advice. This is just my perspective. Let me know what you guys think, though, down below. You know I love hearing what you guys have to say and what you guys feel about what's going on.
You mentioned earlier that dating is the first dates are supposed to be more fluff, right? But online dating seems a little bit more technical to me because, you know, and I mean, just being really honest, and I'm a different generation than you guys. And that connection at the beginning was what made you go to the next level with somebody, right? Some sort of a feeling, which I don't think you get online, but that's my generation. But I have a lot of friends and people that are online dating and they experience a lot of fakeness. You know, the guy says there's something or whatever. And then when they get together, it's completely different, you know? And so for somebody like Rachel, who's really, you know, she's actually very open-minded. She's not like a lot of women that are like, oh, I'm looking for my soulmate. I think she would much rather spend her time with people of value that will eventually lead to that. But she's also open. She's young and fun and, would like a nice date too. But I think there needs to be some sort of advice where you can, rift through or cross out some of these people. So I think it's hard for me to hear you say the dating's supposed to be light and fluffy, but yet how much time do you invest? And then you said by the third date, you should know if you're exclusive. Like, I believe you don't know somebody till a year in. So, I mean, seriously, like you think you do, but at a year, all the guards go down, right? So what tips, like really hard tips can you give Rachel to say, okay, if you're going to give online dating a try, like how do you balance, oh, this is light and fluffy, yet trying to screen out some of the time wasters?
And I had to pause it because this producer lady, like I said, it seems like she's upset that this guy is making it very generic for everybody that's looking in the world to date and how to date and good advice for dating. And she's like, no. What advice do you have for Rachel? Rachel, this one right here, this high profile female, like, I don't know. There's something about the producer lady that I just really don't like. And I felt like that since the very first episode. And maybe I'm a little biased, but she's like, oh, she's so open-minded. She has such a good heart. Yeah, no, I don't believe you. If Rachel was open-minded, she... Do we have to go there? Like, she wouldn't have done the things that she has done. And she wouldn't be... illegally going after people and all of that. I think Rachel is very much stuck in her ways, and it's evident to see, yes, she's learned a lot from, all of her mental health practices and therapy and all of that, but she's still in that, like, I'm still kind of stuck in my old ways, though I want to change and be better and I want the best, but I still want to be like who I was, the shining star. I have to stop joking, but like really, I feel like she's kind of upset with this guy that he's not giving Rachel direct advice. And with online dating, yes, it's a lot different than how it used to be, where you actually had to meet people and talk to them. And as I said, you could always see from just the way people are. Yes, there are a lot of fake people out there that know how to write and put on a show for you. But then once you meet them, if you can't see right then and there that they're all full of shit from everything that they said to you online to how they are in person, then that's something you need to focus on working on, because that just means maybe you're not as strong as you think you are with dating and trying new things and being open to new things and trying to make it work for the best. Because honestly, like, online dating is a viable option. It is what a lot of people are doing, and there's not a lot of that asking people out or just trying to talk to somebody, because a lot of people have like social anxiety nowadays. And I think that Covina, which is the C word that I don't like to say, has played a big part in that. And I can see it with my friends. I can see it even with me. And I've never had any social anxiety. Like, I've always been like the person to just go into a party and like make friends. I can make friends anywhere. And there are times that I can feel that social anxiety, but it's impacted a lot. And I believe also with online, people can pretend to be who they want to be, but they can't pretend to be who they are when you actually meet them in person. So that's where it's like, yeah, weed out some of these people with the online dating. And then once you do that first date with them, or even meet them just for coffee, whatever it is, that's where, like, you can see, are they like they claim to be or how they've portrayed themselves? I don't know. What do you guys think about this producer lady? I had to pause here because she's just getting a little too rough with this guy, and this guy is really great. I've honestly loved all the advice that he's given her, and I feel like the producer lady is like, no, this is bad advice. Like, you need to, like, give her advice for who she is. She's not no generic nobody. She's a Rachel Leviss, ex-Vanderpump Rules cast member. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? All right, guys, let's get back into it.
The time wasters.
So yes, it is fairly technical and logical going through online dating. It's kind of like shopping, online shopping, basically. And it kind of does take the romance out of it a little bit. But what you're doing is, say Rachel easily will have 1,000 matches, right? She's going to have to get rid of a lot of garbage. It'd be less than 0.1% of people who she actually wants to talk to, but that's okay. That's just how it works. It's just a snapshot of your community. So if you did a whole snapshot of every guy within 100 miles, that's everyone you're going to see. So it's a lot of people. So the majority of people you're just not going to be attracted to. You got to swipe through them. Then eventually a guy talks to you and you're like, okay, this guy seems pretty good. He seems like a high value person, good looking. Then the conversation starts and then you can be light and fluffy. Okay. It's kind of a necessary thing these days. And you're kind of looking at something thinking, well, it's not as romantic as it used to be. Perhaps. I think it's more logical these days, which is better. What I see a lot of people in the past doing is getting into relationships with people based on proximity and looks, not based on anything real. Okay. Which is unwise. So you meet someone at a bar, go, oh yeah, this person's good looking. I might go and date them. And you're not a good match at all. Okay. So what you're looking for with your ideal partner is chemistry, compatibility, X factor, and can they do the job? And also what you want to do as well is you spend some time making a good ideal partner list as well. So you know exactly what you're looking for. And then go out there dating and having fun, keeping the dates light and fluffy. But in the back of the mind, you still have the goal. Okay. The goal of finding your 10 out of 10. But that's not at the forefront. Now, I know some people think that generations has changed and online dating is for a lot of young people. The majority of people I coach are over 50. And they all achieve a 10 out of 10 on Tinder and Hinge.
Tinder, really?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the last time I had dating apps was in college. So
it does work, Rachel, and I don't want fear to hold you back. Okay. You can achieve a 10 out of 10. You can achieve a 10 out of 10 this year if you're open to it.
Well, I guess 2 questions. Like, is it going to be weird if I'm like swiping on profiles and then somebody does see me in person or I see them in person?
Well, what's it feel like now when you're on the street and someone says, oh, Rachel, I know you, and they talk to you? How does it feel? It's sometimes can be a bit weird. Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Same sort of thing. It's not, I wouldn't overthink it. It's not something to be impressed about because it's not a bad thing. A lot of people have this idea that online dating is evil and bad and you're a bad person and a slut and all this sort of stuff. It's a lot of negative rubbish. And people go, well, it's fake profiles and scammers and narcissists and blah, 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 blah. There's people like that everywhere. It's just you're seeing it more because it's right in front of you on your screen. Okay. But you don't have to engage with those people. No. Just get really garbage fast. That's all.
Again, really solid advice from this dating expert. And we do find out that, for Rachel, she finds it weird for online dating because what if she meets this person then on the street? And he's like, well, how does it feel when somebody comes up to you and they recognize you from the show? She says, well, it's weird. So regardless, it's that interaction is something that she physically needs to break out of her comfort zone for. And I agree with everything you said. Like, go through all the garbage, find, your top matches, and from there, just try and talk to them, get to know them, see, how they are. And then if you go on a date with any of them and they're not like they seemed, there you go. Indication, red flag, boom, out of here. But, Rachel, I can understand, is very nervous. I mean, she does seem to attract a certain type of guy, and she needs to be more open-minded. Though, the producer lady says that she's very open-minded. I don't see it. I think she needs to be more open-minded to the fact of online dating and, more socialization. Even if it's, you're not going to a bar to drink and you're just having, those mocktails, whatever, just hanging out, having fun, getting yourself out there to meet people, even if it's going to the spiritual church that you go to and getting to know people there. They might have friends that are single. Branch yourself out. That's the only way you're going to meet somebody decent. And I hate to bring Ariana up and all this, but look at Ariana. She went to a friend's wedding. She met someone there. She wasn't expecting or looking to meet anybody at this wedding. She met somebody incredible, and she wasn't going to let somebody that freaking amazing go But they had the opportunity, though, to talk and to get to know each other because they were on opposite sides of the country, that it blossomed into this beautiful romance, which I love her with Dan, and I think her and Dan are a great match. And I'm happy to see she's back doing Chicago and kicking ass. I mean, she's literally kicking ass and taking checks and putting them in her pocket, girl. Do what you gotta do. I think Rachel, though, herself needs to be more laid back, because she's not as laid back as maybe she was. And maybe that's because she was scared when she did, get more relaxed. She allowed herself to make mistakes and go against her morals and, fuck her best friend's boyfriend. And I get it. She's scared. She needs to be more open-minded and keep those morals grounded while being open-minded.
My family is telling me now that the best way to date somebody is through like a friend referral or for like through family friends. And you're shaking your head no. Why not?
Statistically, it just doesn't work. So friends setting you up. So I've coached thousands of people, Rach. 99.9% have achieved 10 out of 10 years online dating. And a few people have done it organically, and almost no one has done it via friends. I'll try to put an analogy. When you're choosing what pizza you want to eat, you have to choose what pizza you want to eat. If your friends pick what pizza you want to eat, it may not be exactly what you want. Okay. You really have to do the choosing. That's the key to finding your ideal partner. It's someone, if you could pick out of 10,000 people who you want to spend the rest of your life with, the next 50 years, who you want to spend with, you want to give that option to somebody else. You want to go through and go really meticulously go, this is the person I want to spend the next 50 years with. Don't let someone else choose.
Okay. So on this online dating app, I'm assuming you're not just going by looks. Is there like something that you look in a Hinge profile for when you're into dating?
You don't want to be too over analytical with just looking at their profile. So it kind of is based on looks in the first 10 minutes, just to see if there's just some sort of mutual attraction. Then you might read his profile and then start talking to him and just see how the conversation goes. And then just go with the flow. Just have a more of, I'll just see what happens type of attitude. Talk to them, see what happens, go with the flow. And if there's good compatibility, the conversation will flow really well. You start talking about goals, what they're up to, and you'll learn a bit more about them. And then it just flows from there. It's best not to overthink it too much.
This thing about, by the third date, you should be exclusive.
Yep.
You'd have to really know somebody in 3 dates to not want to date other people or make some sort of a commitment to somebody. Why do you feel like, how do you feel that happens? And why do you feel that after 3 dates, you would want to be exclusive with somebody?
Yeah. So I think it's what's best first to define what the difference between exclusive and official is. So exclusive just simply means you're just not seeing anybody else. That's all. Okay. So by the third date, you're going to be sleeping with the person you're dating and talking to them every day and creating the early stages of a relationship, building the foundation, if you will.
Wait, did you say you are sleeping with them by the third date? Or wow. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
This producer lady is not picking up what he is putting down. She does not like it. Wow, by the third date, you're sleeping with him? Really? Oh my God. Yeah, look at Rachel. She wasn't even dating Sandoval, and she was sleeping with him. We already know your girl is a loosey-goosey. Oh my God, I'm being so petty this episode. But it's I don't know. Hey, if that's her morals, is not to sleep with someone by whatever date, that's Rachel's morals. She doesn't have to take this advice exactly the way he's putting it down. He's saying hey, I've found my 10 out of 10. I've worked with many, many other people and they found their 10 out of 10. If you are looking for some solid, great advice, I have advice for you. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to listen to it all. You can accommodate some of that advice and you can then, take your lead on other advice that you've been given. Now, the whole, don't let your family and friends pick somebody for you. If your friends are I have this great guy for you, he's very hot, let me set you up, blind date style, that, yeah, I can see that being very weird. I know, in the olden times, if you knew someone's family for a long time, you were close and, family hooked other like their children up with these people that they knew for a long time. Like my grandfather knew my grandmother's family forever, kind of a thing, and it's like an old Italian thing, I guess. Maybe I see it on like, Real Housewives of New Jersey with Teresa and Joe. They were, friends. Their families were friends for years, and then they got together, kind of a thing. So it's common. But like even me and Jake, I met him through technically my ex-boyfriend's friends that we were all friends with. And after me and my ex broke up, I still remained friends with his friends and was going over to my friend's house because they're my friends now. They haven't really hung out with him ever since we broke up. And that's how I met my boyfriend. Even though like I had met him previous from him coming over and all of that, I had met him because he was a friend of my friend. It wasn't like my friend going, well, this guy, he's coming over, he would be a good match. No, it was like we had that connection and attraction, and we went from there. It wasn't anyone setting us up. So I wouldn't say that's like not a possibility, but like having people set you up with people might not necessarily be great, but like if your friend brings a friend around and there is some kind of like romantic vibes, why not give it a try? That's all I'm saying.
So it simply just means you're just not seeing anybody else. That's all it means. That's it. There's no commitment. You're going to give you a gift of exclusivity. So you're going to say something like, hey, look, I just want to let you know I really like you. I'd leave the dating apps. I'm just talking to you. You're the only person I want to talk to. I think you're great. That's it. You just give you gift exclusivity. You're not a boyfriend, girlfriend. You're not official. You're just not seeing anybody else. That's all. So you're just devoting your time to that one person while still living a great life that you already live. Okay. So you don't want to lose yourself in the process. You still got to do your social hobbies. You still got to do time over time properly. You still got to live your life. You just met an awesome person you want to start sharing time with. Official, you usually become official with someone around the 8-week mark. Okay. Now this is going to seem fast to you guys as well, but 8 weeks is where you say, I love you, and you become boyfriend, girlfriend.
Okay. If you heard a noise, I just fell off my chair, but okay.
I know it seems fast. I know.
I'm speechless on that one. I mean, okay, first of all, from a female's perspective, are you working mostly with men or female? And I asked that question because I would think that most women, and Rachel, tell me if you think I'm right or wrong on this, don't want to sleep with somebody on the third date because how they're going to feel about themselves and how other people are going to judge them. So, if you're just freely sleeping around with people on a third date, that just seems, and I'm not even that old fashioned of a girl. I may be old, but I'm not that old fashioned. And I'm not saying that sometimes it's not just for fun, right? But I'm saying if you're like a one night stand, everybody's done that, right? But what I am saying is if you are sort of dating to get to know people and to sleep with somebody on the third date seems a little bit quick because I don't know, Rachel, what do you think?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's a difference with intentionality of like seeing someone and knowing like the expectations of that relationship and that it's more of like a situationship and being clear with that. And then like dating to be in a committed relationship and taking that process a little bit more seriously, but also having fun with it. I definitely wouldn't sleep with someone on the third date, especially because I already have a reputation. I don't need people making assumptions about me being easy. And I definitely want to know somebody well enough to know that like, yeah, I don't know. Like I would have to definitely feel safe with them and feel like they're also not going to sleep around on me before taking that step.
I can't stop laughing. And it's bad because I feel like they are judging this guy so critically, though his advice is good. Again, I'm going to repeat myself, but like she doesn't have to take all of this guy's advice. And she doesn't want to come off easy, guys. She already has a reputation. I mean, please. She doesn't want that reputation to continue. She's not an easy girl. Like, she doesn't just open her legs for anybody. Please. Please, please. Listen. It is your choice whether you want to sleep with somebody or not. If you feel that connection, that is your body, your choice. If you are morally set on not sleeping with somebody by the third date or the 8th date, that is up to you. clearly you're going to feel some kind of a vibe, and sometimes those vibes can lead to other things as well. I do understand where she is coming from, though. Like, she doesn't want to put herself in a position where, like, this person is sleeping with other people. She wants to know, like, he's only sleeping with her before she sleeps with him, kind of a thing. I do understand that. I can respect that. But the producer lady being like, well, like, are you working with mainly guys than girls? Like, what? Clearly, his clientele basis is working for whatever he's doing with whatever demographic or gender he is working with. Like, it's working. And you can take the advice or you can leave it. And like I said, he's giving some solid advice. There are some things that I wouldn't do myself personally as well, but he's giving some very solid advice to, well, everybody, because he's giving it to Rachel. I don't think she's really listening, but this is great for other people that are out there dating, in my opinion. I think it's great advice for other people that are out there looking to find somebody that is a 10 out of 10 for them.
Yeah, and to your point, Rachel, too, I feel like the challenge is women put, and even the most secure women, put a certain amount of their self-worth on sexuality. And so if you sleep with somebody on the third date and they dog you and disappear, right? Because it just seems like that's
because there could be guys online that just want to date to hook up.
Right.
Okay, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Guys, what's all the negativity and shame around sex? What are you doing? Look at this. You're literally tying your self-worth to sex. What is that? That's terrible to do. You're acting like you're a commodity, like a drum of oil, and you're gonna run out. That's your self-worth isn't tied to being intimate with people. That is such a shameful, negative view to have on sex. It's so sad. It makes me really sad to see when girls have this attitude around sex, which they were taught from a young age. Sex is bad. If you sleep with someone, you're a slut, blah, 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 blah. Does that sound good to you guys?
That, unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. The amount of times that I've been called a slut.
That's the world you want to live.
No, that is not the
Because
world.
you guys care too much about what others think about you. That's the problem. It's not the world. You're allowing yourself to be shamed by others. Okay? Instead of being liberated and living your own freedom, you care what other people think of you. It's not the world you live in. Okay? It's the world you're allowing people into your life and allowing people to shame you, which is absolutely ridiculous.
As I'm listening to this guy, I'm just like, yes, 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 tell him, yes, because he's so on point. She cares way too much about what other people perceive her as or how she is looking in the spotlight and what she's doing. She needs to worry about herself. And that's something that with even social media and doing YouTube, I've had to learn myself that it doesn't matter what other people think about me or what they think they know about me. I know who I am. I'm very secure in who I am. I know what I've done. I know what I've been through. I know who I am now because of it all. And those people can talk all the shit they want. They will never know me for me. And the people that do get to know me, they find me for me. And they love me for me. And I truly am blessed with such wonderful people surrounding me, in supporting me on this channel. And that to me is what matters. And I feel like Rachel needs to get to that point. Stop reading all this negativity about yourself. Stop watching all this negativity about yourself. Give a crap how you feel about yourself. You know what you're doing. You know what you are trying to do for yourself to be better. And that is all that matters. Who the fuck cares what TMZ or any of these, IG bloggers, even me, has to say about Rachel? We don't know each other on a personal level. There's a lot of things I don't know about Rachel. I only have my, preconceived notions from everything I've seen and heard from what she has said. But we don't actually really know what she's truly feeling deep down inside. So does it matter what my opinion is about her? No, it shouldn't matter to her. But I do understand where it can affect people. I have friends that it's hard to explain to them, like, listen, just don't watch it. Like, that's the best advice I can give to them. And don't let the negativity bring you down. Don't let anybody dull your shine. And she needs to remember that. Even if it's me dulling her shine. Don't let me dull your shine, Rachel. Keep shining, keep proving to all of us that you are a different person, that you've learned from your mistakes, and you are better. That's what I want to see from you. Keep moving forward.
I do agree that it is an empowerment thing, right, to make those choices, and a security thing. However, society still does shame women, and it's much more acceptable for a man to sleep with as many people as they want than a woman. And then in Rachel's situation in particular, from living her life in the public and the amount of hate mail and death threats and the vileness that people put on her, including on her own show, right? So right there with the cast, all the way out to the millions of fans that reached out, was vile. And in reality, in her entire time on that show, which was over 6 years, 7 years, she slept with 2 people. So like, that's not even a big deal, right? She's 20 something. She slept with 2 people and everybody's making her out to be a slut. So to say that that's not the world we live in, I agree with you that words are words, and what you allow people to say or call you, that's up to you, right? When you give them the power. But nobody can say that what she didn't go through, which was horrific, of people judging her and shaming her, and to date, still emailing her, shaming her for being a slut when she's lived with 2 guys in 7 years.
Yep, there's a lot of haters out there. I don't think the solution to avoid hate is to live in fear and hide under a rock and not live your life to the fullest and let the power of other people's words hold you back from living a full life, which I think you're doing.
Sure, for sure. In my program, right, they say not to sleep with somebody until like at least the 2-month mark. And I tried this dating experience with the new person that approached me and asked me on a date. I intentionally wanted to take it slow because in the past, it was like a one night stand with James that turned into something more. And then with Tom, it was a secret relationship that I was, thinking with my heart and not logically. And I wanted to have sex, and we did. So maybe it's like a balancing act of like, okay, that may be a little extreme to wait 3 months before sleeping with somebody, but it did allow us to like get to know each other on a deeper level. And I do enjoy deep conversations. There was like a true connection there, and it was hard to abstain. But he is Christian. I'm not seeing him anymore, but like he was kind of like, okay, this is in alignment with my values. So he was kind of all for it. But like we also had a conversation about practicing safe sex before actually doing it.
Are you still seeing this guy now?
I'm not.
No, didn't work. He's just not you the one, or?
He told me one thing and his actions were different. I asked him not to post on social media because it was too soon in the relationship. We were dating for a month.
A month is too soon for social media.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I went to Stagecoach for the weekend, he updated his Facebook profile photo to a picture of us. And the media caught wind of that. And it was just this whole thing. I had to end it. And it was hot, it was sad because we had a good connection and good like conversation, and he was emotionally stable and emotionally intelligent. Obviously, like those are standard things, but those were new things for me to experience. And it just seemed like maybe he either had an impulse control issue because we agreed not to do that, or he wanted to post to like show me off.
Maybe, but either way, if you guys agreed not to do it, he definitely shouldn't have done it. It's not good.
I mean, hot damn, 3 months is a long time, but I'm glad that she took that relationship slow. And I mean, I feel like she's afraid of getting hurt, and regardless, you're gonna feel some type of hurt when you get rejected or something doesn't work out. That is a normal feeling. She has to get used to that feeling because you are going to be let down throughout your life, whether it be in a relationship or a friendship or even things that you have planning for your life with goals, and even, not living up to your morals and standards, things like that. And I don't believe it was two guys. I don't know why they keep pushing this narrative. Well, it was only two guys. Because she did make it known that she slept with other people after James, not just Sandoval. Let's be real, Rachel. I thought we were being real with everybody. You're not being real here. But regardless, I'm sad to hear that it didn't work out with her and Matt Dunn. That was the guy, because he had posted when she went to Stagecoach. I understand that's a big thing for her. And maybe he did just like innocently want to like be like, look at this girl that I'm dating. She's wonderful. She's amazing. She's incredible. I want to show her off. Maybe they should have had a conversation. Maybe like I get he was saying one thing and then he did another, but that doesn't mean everything he was saying he was doing another. This is like where in relationships conversation and communication is key, because you're going to go through those ups and downs, and without that communication, especially on those downs, you're not going to get through that storm together. So if she really really liked this guy and she really felt there was some kind of a connection, I feel like maybe there should have been a conversation. And it wasn't like other people had posted her not with him, because I actually had seen photos from an event that she went to with him where they were sitting next to each other and he kind of had his arm around her on the seat. And that was the first photo I had seen of them two, not the one that he had posted. But that's just me knowing where to look and things like that. You know, you go to the tagged post and you know she's going to do like a mental health event, and there they are at this mental health event. Wow. Oh, it wasn't like shocking, but like I get it. Like she has an eye in the spotlight and she didn't want people to know that she was dating, and he kind of betrayed her trust there, and I can see that. But like I said, if she had felt that there was more there to this relationship, why wasn't there a conversation? He seemed like a great guy. I don't know him. What do you guys think about all this? Let me know down below. I love hearing what you guys have to say. And really quickly, I thought about this at the end. She also had posted a video of them with friends dune buggying it up before Stagecoach. So maybe he felt like, well, she posted, so maybe now I can too. I mean, maybe there should have been a conversation. But hey, it happens. It's over. I feel bad for the guy, but hey, maybe they just didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's a little special to Rachel, or not just Rachel, but anybody that's in the limelight. The problem is if you're me and I date and break up and date and break up or whatever, date as many people as nobody's watching me and caring. When you're in the public eye, it's extra judgmental, right? And it's extra hurtful. And I hear you loud and clear about the empowerment of yourself and you're giving that power away. But at the end of the day, it's a harsh place to be. And so I think, time and choices. And look, what I do for a living is try to shelter those truths from the outward eyes. But, the outward eyes find a way to find out. So I do feel when you're in the public eye, you have to make a little bit smarter, calculated choices, because then you get publicly shamed in the media, which is different from the average person.
It's true. That is true.
And then one thing that I find interesting is, on one hand with you seem, you are, like you said, that light and fluffy feeling, getting to know people, like kind of the natural. But on the other hand, you are using a lot of methodology, right? And you've got some timing things and some benchmarks. And so maybe explain that sort of dichotomy. And look, everything's a dichotomy, really, right? Like there is no one, it's not one perfect solution. It's a combination of all those things. But because back in the day, there was a book called The Rules. I was telling Rachel about this the other day. Do you know that book, Jake?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You should look at it for what you do, because of something you said earlier about like the Saturdays only being available to Saturdays. The Rules was this whole thing about not being available, not letting, because the chase, there is still, maybe I should ask you, do you believe the chase is still a valid thing, that men enjoy the chase?
To a certain degree, but you don't want to play too hard to get, because then it creates a game and it's not real then. So it's good if you create a little bit of chase, but not too much. So you can play a little bit hard to get, but some girls play too hard to get, and it just a high value guy just goes, and he doesn't waste the time. If a girl is too much hard work, a high value guy will go, what the hell? Nah, I'm out of here. And he won't talk to you.
I mean, you agreed that a month was too soon to post on social media. How long would you wait?
8 to 12 weeks, usually. Probably longer for a celebrity rage. Because there's a different sort of circumstances. But even 1 month for a normal person, that's way too fast. Because you're really telling the whole world that you're with that person 1 month in, that's too fast. 8 weeks would be the absolute minimum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But wait, didn't she say it took them 3 months before they hooked up? And then that's when he posted and it was too soon for her. But if you look, I commented at the very end of my last commentary, but he had actually posted the same time frame that she posted on her IG stories that they were hanging out. So they must have had some kind of communication that they knew that they were posting this, and she did post. So maybe there was some miscommunication on, okay, so we both posted last weekend, maybe I can change my profile picture, the weekend after or 2 weekends after that. And again, I feel like a broken record. It's like this guy is giving solid advice, but you don't have to take all of the advice. You can pick and choose what fits you the best to make it work the best for you. And I feel like they're just like hating on him. I do. I really do. I feel like they just don't like all the rules that he's kind of set out for his game plan that's worked for other couples and things like that, because that's for general people. This isn't like, high class society people like Rachel, who's a celebrity. What do you guys think? Are you getting that same feeling that I am? Because I really do feel that way. And it's things like this, though, that make me question if Rachel is telling the truth or she's trying to lead us in a direction that she forgets that she says one thing and then she says another. Like, you just said it took 3 months for you guys to actually do the damn thing. And then it was after that is when, he was doing things that you had asked him not to, like posting your photo. But then you're saying it took a month for that to happen. What? Ugh. She's driving me insane, guys. It's time for one of those breathe in, breathe out. It's okay.
And then, Jake, you mentioned 8 weeks that you tell me what 8 weeks was again.
Yeah, 8 weeks is for official, saying I love you,
Okay.
become a boyfriend, girlfriend, just that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. And then what would you say your next benchmark is before you actually get married?
6 months, 6 to 9 months where you move in together. Now, just to clarify as well, I usually recommend the woman moves into the man's house or you get a whole new house together. I don't recommend allowing the man to move into your home.
Okay. And the reasoning?
Masculine, feminine energy. So when a man moves into a woman's house, he feels less masculine. He feels like the guest in her home. She becomes the masculine energy and the leader. And unless the couple's really good with masculine energy, I've seen it destroy a lot of attraction very quickly, unfortunately.
Do you think some of that is insecurity from the guy's perspective?
I'd probably call it biology. Is there
Biology?
parts of biology which are insecure and jealous? Probably. Yep. But it's kind of how human beings are, I suppose, to a certain degree.
And the 6 to 9 months, why do you pick those numbers? What's the
just statistically, it seems to work really well. So when you meet your ideal partner, each step in the timeline, you'll feel a need to take the next step. Okay. So in other words, at the 6 month mark, you'll love this person so much. You'll go, I can't live without them. I need to see them every day. Like you have that urge inside you emotionally. So you take that next step. It's what I call emotional decisions.
Well, I have to agree with him. That timeline worked for me. It was about 6 months before Jake moved in with me. And at that point, I was living with my parents because I had found out I had epilepsy. We were trying to get my medicine regulated. I had just started after 2 years a different medicine. And it was just knowing that my parents were there, if I was to have a seizure, all of that. He moved in. We ended up moving into the basement apartment. And we went from there. And we've been together now 9 years. And here we still are. But, everyone's timeline and things are different. And I agree with him. Maybe statistics show that. But like I keep saying, and I feel like this broken record, he's giving really great advice. She doesn't need to take all of his advice. And I really feel like they are dampering this guy down because he has things that have worked for him and his program, and they just don't match her energy and what she's been told by her therapist and the program and all of that, that it's not matching up. And because it's not matching up, they are kind of having this like bickering little back and forth with each other because it's not looking too good for Rachel, or maybe they perceive it that way, though I see it as this is really solid advice for people that are out there dating. This is really solid advice for people that, you know, might have to go back into the dating world or haven't been dating and are thinking about it. And that, I thought, was the whole point of this podcast. But again, they're very much trying to focus it in on Rachel and her issues when she's said that she wanted to do this podcast to help other people. And I get that she still needs help in certain areas, but like, don't like push him to do what like doesn't work for him or what his program isn't, when, you know, this is what's worked for him. Let him give the advice. Like you said, like I keep saying, like, you don't have to take all of his advice. You can even say, like, I don't know if that would work for me, but like, that's really great advice, blah, blah, blah. It's not happening. And you wouldn't believe it. There are kind of 4 parts to this. So let's go on to the next one.
Are there specific red flags to look out for when dating, or what are your major red flags that you talk to your clients about?
Yeah, so you don't want to be too much of a red flag hunter, but some bad red flags you want to look out for. You don't really want to look for them. They should come to you pretty easily. You should be able to see them. But they're things like if a guy has a lack of integrity. So integrity, like this last guy had a lack of integrity. Guys with integrity, they mean what they say and they say what they mean. Okay. So a guy has a lack of integrity, that's a very bad sign. He needs to be masculine and solid, okay, reliable. Also, it helps that they're a great communicator, okay, good effective communication, and they're forward focused. Okay. When people are too focused on the past, it's quite unattractive. There's a lot more to it, but I don't want you to be too much of a red flag hunter.
Okay. My therapist would I mean, she says like yellow flags. She'll flag things as like when it comes up once, you yellow flag it and get more information to see if it's a red flag or if it's more complicated and actually okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you have to remember in Rachel's situation again, where all the rest of us could make as many mistakes as we wanted to make in our 20s. Rachel was held accountable for everything and blasted and publicized and everything else. And so I think she's, you know, this is nothing to say with her maturity or mental level, but I think she's got to kind of go back to some of those things to experience that, you know, we got to do freely and she didn't.
Here we go again. He's giving great advice, and it's like, I think he's like now realizing like no matter what he says, they're just going to disagree with him because they're just not comprehending, or like maybe he's just feeling like we feel like Rachel is just too good for this because like she's in the spotlight, of course, and every move she makes gets criticized. No. Actually, before that point, no one was criticizing Rachel until she slept with her best friend's boyfriend for 7 months and hid it behind her best friend's back. That, yes, was probably one of the biggest mistakes she could have possibly made, but she had made plenty of mistakes previous, maybe got some criticism for it, but nothing like this. Which, in my opinion, yes, it's a huge fucking mistake. But even Scumdevil has even tried to recover from this and had a little bit of a redemption arc because, one, he's, you know, got narcissistic personality traits. So he's very easy to manipulate others into feeling sorry for him. And I'm changed. Look at me. You know, I'm the one that's always cared for you. It was never Ariana. It was me. Until he does stupid things, and then they realize he's the same exact person, and why did they even give him another fucking shot to begin with? But even the red flags, I mean, he said you're looking for somebody with integrity, that's masculine, that's solid, that's a great communicator, that has effective communication skills, who's also forward focused, not like focused on the past. Those are all positive things. And if you're not finding these positive things, yeah, then those other things are considered red flags, which we already know she's not really good at picking up these red flags, especially when they're like waving in front of her face and she still doesn't see it. Like, hopefully she gets better at it. But I mean, right there, those are all great examples of what she's looking for in a man. And right there, great advice. I don't think she's listening, though. What do you guys think?
But what would you tell women are things that a high value guy is looking for?
A high value masculine man wants a feminine woman. Super easy. Okay. A feminine woman is nurturing, she's caring, she's supportive, she's joyous. Okay. She's somewhat, not completely, but somewhat has mastered her emotions, doesn't live in fear. Okay. And feminine energy also doesn't live in the past, it lives in the present. Okay. Feminine energy is a now being energy, it's about the present. Masculine energy can somewhat be about the future and progression, but feminine energy is very much about the present. It's not about the past, living in fear. It's not too much about living in the future either. It's more about the now. Okay. That's what men find very attractive in women. It changes how you see them at different stages, but you should see these traits immediately, even before you meet.
So if you don't, and that's kind of where too the question of like the 3-date thing comes up. What happens if you don't feel like you know the person well enough and the 3-date rule? Do you have exceptions to your rules?
Maybe a little bit, but say you go on 3 dates with someone, you're not really sure whether you want to stop seeing other people. They're probably just not your ideal partner. It's probably not a strong enough X factor in there. So you got chemistry, you want to rip those clothes off, you got the compatibility conversations going well. The X factor is that Disney dust, your soul, Cupid's arrow, whatever you want to call it, that magic in the air. That's the progressor in relationships. It keeps you looking forward and looking for the next step. If it's not really there and you're like, they're probably just not your ideal partner.
Okay. Yeah. So then you can make decisions pretty quickly and be like, okay, no. Like
If
after
it's
3 days,
very,
it's like,
yeah, if it's very easy to stick to my timeline, you're like, no rush. I don't really feel like that. Maybe next month. They're not your ideal partner. With your ideal partner, the X factor is so strong that it's quite hard to stick to the timeline. So even though 8 weeks, you go, 8 weeks, that's so fast to say I love you to somebody. With your ideal partner and all the keys there and it's absolutely perfect, it's actually quite hard to wait that long.
Now, when it comes to the traits that a male is looking in a female for their 10 out of 10, I would say that Rachel does have a majority of it. She seems very feminine. She seems like she could be nurturing, caring, supportive. She could be joyous at times. She's more in tune with her emotions than she's ever been. I believe, though, she does have lots of fears. She lives in those fears. She's also still living in the past. That's why she couldn't get over everything that was being said on VPR this last season and had to do this podcast where she talked about it. But she used it in the sense where, oh, no, I'm giving myself a platform to talk about it. But really, she was just living in the past. Though I do feel like she's more now living in the present because VPR is just not in the air for her to be able to relive the past or rehash the past. And then when he was talking about like the X factor, having chemistry, compatibility, looking to go to that next step, people didn't understand when Ariana fell for Dan and how she could move on so fast. Though they were taking it slow, they were literally across the country from each other and talking, you could see that chemistry, that compassion, everything she ever wanted was in Dan and vice versa for him. And you could see that they wanted to go to that next step because they were just so compatible. And I think that's another reason why she's a little jelly of Ariana, is because of that factor that Ariana has found such a amazing, suitable, masculine man, and she's still struggling trying to find her ideal partner per se. Granted, there's a lot of other things I think she's jealous of, but I think that is also something she's very jealous of, that she didn't get as hurt as she maybe portrayed to the public as Rachel would have wanted. And that's sad, but you know, that's how this cruel world works. And I give Ariana a lot of credit for not showing her emotions of everything that she was feeling. But then in that sense too, people were like, well, did she even care about the relationship? Just because she wasn't expressing it didn't mean she didn't care. And all the times she did express it, like that time when they were at James and Allie's house, I believe it was, and they were fighting over the dog, you could tell there was so much hurt still there that was so built up that she wasn't over it. She's still not. Though Dan is amazing, he is also helping her get through this trauma that she went through. And just because she didn't go to a mental health facility like Rachel doesn't mean she wasn't affected. And literally, now with a lawsuit, all of that, you don't think that this isn't affecting her? She's just better not showing how it's affected her like you have. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it just shows who her character is and how she has been able to not let others get to her and not let them affect her by showing it.
Okay. So is 3 dates the maximum you should be with someone you're unsure about?
If you're not sure you want to be with them by the third or fourth date, it's probably not a good match. You should go, yeah, this person's really, really, really good. I like seeing them a lot.
Okay. It's hard for me not to have a fear-based mindset, and I apologize for being in that place. No, I don't apologize for being in that place because it's a trauma response. I've been through traumatic relationships where I've lost myself, and the thing that like was so attractive to me was that X factor, what you're describing, that like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is how I feel around this person. And I felt like I was living in the moment, where before I was living in the past or living too far in the future. I felt like, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like to live in the moment and to really enjoy that. And to like, it really broadened my perspective on all of it. That was the most unhealthy relationship. And maybe, I take responsibility in my part for not having firm boundaries and like, no, you're not an available man and I need somebody who is available to me. And so I can give myself a little bit of reassurance dating now and knowing that I have my values in alignment and it's going to be okay. But right now, I feel like I need to date to get to know somebody, to know that they are worth me letting go and I can trust them so that I can live in the moment.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Cuz like I need to vet somebody out. I need to get to know them so that I know that they're a reliable person for me to live in the moment and I can trust that they have, my best interest, and it's a it goes both ways in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, the masculine and feminine energy really leans on each other really well. Have you ever considered that what you did in the past wasn't wrong, just maybe the person you were doing it with was wrong?
And here we go with like, I was in these horrible relationships and I have so much trauma from it that like you have to understand, like that's what makes me so fearful right now and I need to like vet these people. Girl, we've all been through some kind of trauma in our lives. And I'm not saying your trauma was worse than my trauma kind of a thing. But what you went through was also done because you chose to. And he put out a wonderful question. Did you ever think about what you were doing wasn't wrong? It was just who you were doing it with was wrong? Ding, 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 ding. Let's see what she has to say about that.
Considered that what you did in the past wasn't wrong, just maybe the person you were doing it with was wrong.
For sure.
It seems like you're blaming yourself a little bit for the things you did wrong, but it kind of doesn't sound like you've done much wrong, Rach. Maybe he was just an asshole.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it felt like a relationship. It felt like we were doing all the right things. Like we would travel. I met
Maybe
his
you were.
family. Like, I was.
Maybe you were doing everything right. Like girls seem to get in this mindset where they blame themselves if something goes wrong. They look at all the things they did and they go, well, I did this wrong, this wrong. Maybe it was the guy. Maybe it was just the wrong person. He clearly was the wrong person for you. He clearly
Yeah,
was
he
your ideal
clearly,
partner.
yeah,
If I'll put it this way, if you do absolutely everything right that I teach, very meticulously, logically, do it exactly right with the wrong person, you'll 100% fail. If you do 50% of what I do, of what I say, with the right person, you'll be in a 10 out of 10. The person is the important part, Rach, and it sounds like you've got
yeah,
this history of wrong guys, really.
hmm yeah.
Another question I want to ask you, how do you want to feel tomorrow? So there's 76 main emotions, right? Lots of different emotions to choose from. How do you want to feel tomorrow?
Generally, or with dating somebody?
No, just in general.
Oh, I want to feel safe. I want to feel loved. I want to feel a part of a community, like a sense of belonging.
Yep.
I want to feel optimistic for my future and connected. I want to feel like I'm protected, and a lot of that is now spiritual for me, and like creating that connection to my higher power, and having faith that like everything is working out in my favor.
How
And
much better? How much better does that feel, Rachel? Yeah,
oh my gosh, it's
this is called focus on what you want to achieve instead of what you want to avoid. See, a lot of this fear you're
okay.
experiencing earlier in the call, you're looking at all the stuff you want to avoid, all the parts of your past. The past is gone. We only have tomorrow and now. The past, we can't do anything about the past. Okay. The other thing to remember as well, we can go through traumatic experiences without having trauma. We can let it go. Yes, it's difficult, but we've got to let ourselves do that. Okay. And that's when we focus on what we want to achieve now. So tomorrow I want to be enthusiastic and loved and safe and feeling awesome. That's having that emotional goal. So a good thing I get everyone to do before you go to bed, write down how you want to feel tomorrow. Have that emotional goal in place, and then subconsciously you'll start making efforts logically on how to achieve that actual emotional goal of how you actually do want to feel. That's one of the first steps of mastering your emotions. Just deciding what you want to feel and going, you know what? No, I don't want to feel fearful. I want to feel enthusiastic. That's the first step at really mastering your emotions and going, you know what? My emotions work for me. Not the other way around anymore.
I think that's really solid advice for her. And honestly, I'm going to be taking that advice. And she is someone that likes to journal. So that's a great way to like end her night is by writing down what she wants to feel tomorrow. I'm definitely taking away from this something. And the other thing too is I think that she still has a lot of guilt about what she did because she doesn't know how to move forward with that pressure that people keep acknowledging what she did. And that's because she doesn't know how to take accountability for what she did. And until she can figure out how to take that accountability, she's never going to learn to move past that. She definitely has a whole lot of work still to do on herself. And if this episode doesn't show that, then I don't know, guys. That's what I'm feeling off of this. What do you guys think? Do you think she has a lot more work to still go and a lot of work still ahead of her to just even learn to love herself and be okay with herself? Because you can't love somebody else until you learn to love yourself. And that's one of the biggest steps, too, that she needs to learn how to do.
Jake, let's talk about love bombing. You said something, love bombing is a sign of emotional immaturity. And Rachel did experience that with, I beg to say, 3 people.
Yeah. Yeah. So love bombing is super common. It's just a sign of immaturity. Super common. Teenage boys, teenage girls, they do it all the time. It's just a sign of immaturity. The difference between love bombing and what's genuine, love bombing is future focused. So it's someone saying, oh, I can't wait to marry you, and they just met you. Like it's very, very future focused. Genuine love interest, they're talking about how much they like you, but it's in the present. So they're talking about, you're so beautiful. I can't wait to take you on a date next week. Like they're talking fairly present terms. Love bombing is just overly future focused. Just a sign of immaturity. But if a guy is doing lots of love bombing behavior, he's also dangerous. So you want to avoid that guy.
Yeah. Dangerous in the way that they can be manipulative, correct?
They can, and people who are overly immature are also unpredictable and dangerous as well because they have the roller coaster of emotions and
Yeah.
they act kind of crazy and toxic sometimes, which we want to avoid. A masculine man's very solid. He's more like this. Immature guys are like this.
Yeah. 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 I think that's the place that I need to be. I need like that stability in my life. And the toxicity and the I mean, it seems like there is manipulation and power plays and like ways to control. And that is why I feel like in my dating experience now, I need to build trust back up with myself and knowing that I can choose somebody that's going to be loyal to me and truly loving and not manipulative and
Here's a good
that there
question
are those
about,
people out there.
yeah, here's a good question about trust. Say you met someone um, on the street, for example. Out of 10, so trust is a bit of a scale. Out of 10, what would you trust them just off the bat?
A 0?
So
I don't know.
zero is mistrust. That means you
Okay, so a 5.
good. Five is actually pretty good. I try to trust people right immediately a 6 out of 10, just off the bat.
Actually, that might be a lie. I am more like I do give people the benefit of the doubt, and
Good.
maybe I project a little bit too much, but I think that people have good intentions, and I want to believe that. So meeting a random person on the street, I would probably say like a 7,
Good.
being aware of it.
It's very good, Rachel. That's very, very good. Maybe you trust people better than you think.
Yeah, probably.
Good. That's good. Now all you need to do is just be more picky. It can
Mhm,
be hard, but more experience as you go through, it should also make you a better judge of character as well, which makes it a bit easier.
mhm. Yeah, because I don't have much dating experience,
No,
and I haven't been the chooser. I haven't been picking the men.
your journey's going to change a lot when you start doing the choosing. Yeah.
Mhm.
When you go to the supermarket, you're choosing the cucumbers aren't choosing you. Like the more you choose, the better it's going to be.
Okay, first, who is this third person that love bomb Rachel? See, I knew there was more than just two people. Also, I can see where he was saying like roller coaster of emotions and men is not a good thing, and that was definitely James at the time when she was dating him. And I have seen a lot of change in James with Allie, but he was also young when he dated Rachel. And he took what he went through with Rachel, he learned from it, and he grew from it so that he could be a better partner with Allie now. And that's always a great thing, and that's what she needs to do as well. Learn from everything she's been through. Just like he said, with more experience, you'll be able to be a better judge of character. With more experience, what you've been through, you'll be able to be a better judge of character, know what you want and what you don't want, know what it feels like when somebody is manipulating you. But I do believe, though, she has a lot of issues with trusting herself. And that's going to take some work. And she can't be afraid to get hurt. No matter what she does in life, whether it's a relationship, friendship, job, anything, she cannot be afraid to get hurt. And she's afraid. She's afraid from everything she's been through. And I can understand that. And when he asked her about meeting someone random on the street and what kind of trust she would immediately give them, she was like 0 right off the bat. But then she actually listened to what he had to say about it, and she's like, well, maybe a 5. Oh, well, maybe a 7. And there was like, oh, good, Rachel. So she was like, in that sense, like trying to figure out what was the best number for him to agree with her. Because I do feel like she has no trust in anybody. And I get that her trust has been broken and all of that. But you have to give trust to get trust. And it's the same vice versa. So if you're putting trust into somebody and they aren't giving it back, that's a red flag. So, all right, we're finally on the last part.
Jake, can we talk about the when to have the I love you conversation?
Yeah, like if you have these feelings like you're looking at this person on this beautiful date that they took you out like to the mountains and you're just looking at them like, "Oh my gosh, I love this man." And it's only like a month in, is that too soon to say anything? Like how do you
Technically,
say
not.
I love you?
So that's the perfect setting to say I love you, definitely. And it usually happens around the 8-week mark. You can say it around the 1 month mark, but I usually recommend the 2 month mark. 1 month's not too early, but I definitely wouldn't do it any sooner. But yeah, just the perfect occasion. And then you just look in each other's eyes and just say I love you. And then hopefully it's reciprocated.
Okay. So, I mean, you it's just interesting your perspective on the sex part. That's you can have sex with somebody only 3 weeks into dating them, and that's only 1 date a week.
I got more statistics which will surprise you, Rach. So I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the last 6 years from all around the world, all around the world. The majority of people who I've helped achieve a 10 out of 10 have slept with their ideal partner on the first date, which I know is probably a jarring thought. And they're together for years, get married, have beautiful families. They're together forever. And they don't play any games and just go with how it feels. What I like to teach people is I want you to be intimate with someone that feels right. That's it. No timings, no rules. Intimacy is a spiritual, emotional type thing anyway. It's very deep. So if it feels right, do it. If you get to the third date and it doesn't feel right, don't do it just because of the third date. That's not being truthful to yourself, okay? If it feels right on the first date, do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And that's the same all the way through. Just trust yourself and your own intuition to see how it feels. That's what I want people to do. It makes it a lot more enjoyable. And I think it's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And again, I feel like a broken record, but this guy is making solid points. It's like you will feel something, and if you are making yourself feel like, okay, this is a third date, this is what I gotta do, then that's a red flag. You will know, you will feel when the time is right. You will do what you have to do when the time is right. I don't like this whole statistics thing because, I mean, listen, statistics say this, but not everyone is a statistic or a number and all of that. So if Rachel doesn't want to have, love making on the first date, or even a month into it, or 3 months into it, that's on her, girl. But he is right about the chase, and men don't really like the chase anymore, and it is something that she needs to consider. When you play too hard to get, then men are like, well, she's just really too hard to get. Why am I even trying? I'm not going to get anywhere with this girl. I don't know. Let's keep going, though.
I like this. Something else that you said, make sure the most important thing you need in an ideal partner is they're obsessed with you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah,
explain that a little?
So when you write your ideal partner list, I tell people the first sentence on the list should be they're obsessed with you. So they think you are the best person in the world. That makes everything a lot easier. Okay. Trying to create a 10 out of 10 with someone and they go, yeah, she's okay. It's not going to work. Okay. The guy kind of needs to be obsessed with you and think you're the prettiest girl in the world.
Okay. Are there other things, other tips like that for your ideal list of person?
You want to make sure intimacy is really, really good. Conversations goes well. You want compatibility so high that you guys never argue and you're always on the same page about everything. That's really, really high compatibility, which makes relationships a lot easier as well. So you're just always on the same page.
Or if you're not on the same page, you can communicate that effectively where it's not like an implosion or an argument or like a power play. Yeah.
10 out of 10 relationships have zero arguments.
You've given me a lot of advice and a lot of good tips and support in this journey for me. Do you have any like last closing remarks or any advice for me to take with me on this next phase in my life?
I'd love to see you on online dating. Okay. I know it's a scary thought. I hear every day online dating is terrible. It's more how you use it. Online dating is kind of just a tool. So let me know if you want me to help you build your profile, Rach. But look, some key tips for building your profile: less is more. Don't write too much. So with your bio, for example, just write about food. Just say, I love ice cream. Done. Like, people write too much. Okay. It's too much. Okay. So just keep it really, really short. And how old are you at the moment? You're 31?
I'm 29.
29.
I'll be 30 in September.
Okay. So you're 29. So ideally, statistically, the perfect age gap is 4 years. But so ideally anyway, you want to date a guy who's between 30 and I would set the age parameters on your dating app from 30 to 40. Okay. That doesn't mean you need to date a 40-year-old, just I'd set the age parameters. Now, what do you think if he has a child?
So the last guy I was seeing did have a child, and that was my first experience dating someone who had a kid, and she was only 4. And I was open to it. Like, it surprised me at first when he was telling me, and he told me immediately. And I was like, oh, I guess we're at the age now where people do have kids. It felt like he had his life together in a good way. And he moved out here to be close to his daughter. So I know that he prioritized family, which was a green flag for me. And he also like took a lot of responsibility, and he was like, you just be you. And, my daughter just loves to spend time with you and look up to somebody who's a positive role model. You don't need to like step into the mother role or anything like that.
I love that. That's awesome.
I don't know. I feel like the more that we hear about Matt and their dating relationship that they had, that like it really just seems maybe like it was miscommunication and something that, yeah, I can understand she holds close to her heart because she's trying to protect herself from the media, though she puts herself in the spotlight for the media and she puts out stories so that TMZ can talk about it. But we won't go there. I just feel like there was a lot of miscommunication because even if we look back at the timeline of events, they were posting the same time that they went to the waterfall on the mountain together. That was on IG. He posted, she posted. They both knew about each other because she liked his post, and vice versa. So then 2 weekends later, he decided to change his profile picture on Facebook, nonetheless, not even IG, just Facebook, to him and her, and it was a big ordeal. I just feel like maybe she should have given him more of a shot. He seems like a really nice, mature man, and she might be missing out on Mr. Wonderful. And who knows? I just feel like communication is key, and clearly, if she didn't even give him a shot to explain himself, then that's wrong on her part because she should have at least given him a chance to explain, hey, why didn't you put this as your profile picture after we talked about this? Because for all he might have known is, okay, so we posted 2 weeks ago on social media, she might be okay with it now. I mean, these are just things I'm thinking of, but who really knows? We don't know. I feel like, though, he maybe didn't get a fair shot. What do you guys think about Matt? Let me know down below.
Okay. So that's good. That's good. The other thing I'd say is I want to see you have a bit more fun, Rachel. I want you to have a bit more fun and focus more on the future and less on the past. Okay.
Okay.
I know you have an exciting past. Okay. A noteworthy past, celebrity type past, but I don't
Yeah.
want to
Okay. Wait. Can we talk about that for a second? Because when I speak to people and they ask me what I do, and I say I have a podcast, and they ask what the podcast is about, and it's a great conversation starter to kind of get into like what I just went through and what I'm advocating for and how I'm using my voice now. And I love talking about that stuff. Is, like, how do I approach dating? Like, I love talking about my past and from a place where it's like empowering to me and sharing how I've overcome hardships. And I don't want to talk about it too much too soon either in a relationship or in dating.
I want you to talk more about the future and the present now,
Okay.
just in general, and barely talk about the past at all. Okay. I know you're using your past in somewhat of a positive light, but at the same time, when you tell people about your past struggles and how you overcome them, all people see you for is your past struggles. They judge you on your past struggles, which isn't who you are now, Rach. I don't care about your past, not even a little bit. Okay. I care who you are now and who you're going to be in 5 years. Okay. Your past doesn't define you. How you define yourself now defines you. Okay. Which is a hard thought for a lot of people to get their head around, but I put my pants when I was 2 years old. I'm not that person anymore. You know what I mean? Like the past is the past. It doesn't define me now. I define me now. I decide who I want to be. Okay. So there's not really much point in talking about the past. Do you understand that, like, when you talk to people about your past, they judge you for your past, even though you're not that person anymore?
I mean, I talk about the past in reference to how I'm living my life in the present.
That's
Does that
good.
make sense?
That's good. That is good. Try talking just about the present and the future now instead.
Again, really solid advice for Rachel and her situation. And I think everything he was saying was spot on. It's like people do judge her for her past. So when you are meeting somebody new, don't focus on the past, even though it's a sign of how far you've come. You want to talk about the present and the future and what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you linger too much in the past, they are going to feel like you are still there, that you still live in that past. Even if it's, okay, she's overcome all of this, they still might feel like you are too much involved in your past and your past experiences. That is solid, great advice. And I feel like once he said what he had to say, it was like, oh, yeah, but this is how I do it. And it's like, come on, Rach. You know what you just said, and you just literally changed it up to make him feel better about everything you just said. No, honey. And I agree. I think she needs to live more in the present, have more fun, and enjoy herself because the past has been holding her back. We can even see it here just listening to her podcast.
Yeah. People are
Yeah.
going to listen to you anyway because you're interesting, you got stuff to say, regardless of your past. You don't need to let it define you. Like heaps of people are going to still listen to you. Social media is good, your podcast is good. Your past is your past. I think if you just talk about the present and the future, people will love to listen. So it's your achievements. That's good, but what now? Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to be a bit more future focused. I know it's hard, but you're going to find a lot more joy in it.
Yeah. I've been using, like I've been sharing my experience as like a resource for other people to connect to because they've also experienced some unhealthy relationships. And the advice that I give just from what I've found out about myself and what I'm learning about myself is by sharing that, I'm helping other people. And that feels very rewarding to me. But I look at my past as a way to learn and to grow. And it's also information for me because those experiences now I'm able to take into my present day with my new dating experiences and be able to pick up the what I want and what I don't want much faster and be clear with my boundaries. And that takes practice too.
It definitely does take practice. Another thing I recommend people do is they make lots of lists. So I love making lists all the time. One list, which is really fun to make, is called a 10 out of 10 me list. So this is a way to form your identity on who you want to be. So a 10 out of 10 me list. So basically you think, okay, what's the perfect version of me like? What do they act like? What do they look like? What do they do? What makes them a 10 out of 10 person? And then basically you're going to have a bit of a blueprint on how to become a perfect version of yourself, how to become a 10 out of 10 version of yourself, and gives you something to work towards for your entire life, basically. So it's going to build up your identity. So your identity is who you want to be. A lot of people have created identity for themselves subconsciously without intentionally putting the thought into it about who do I even want to be? And they're just sort of who they are just naturally. Okay. But identity is built regardless, often by our environment around us and our experiences, but it doesn't have to be. It can be built by who you want to be. But you have to intentionally sit down and go, well, who do I want to be? So you write out your 10 out of 10 me list. So that's good. Also hobby lists, ideal partner lists, non-negotiable lists, goal lists, day-to-day lists, week lists, all that sort of stuff helps as well. I like making lists, so that helps.
And I understand that she's using her past events as lessons for what she does moving forward. But you don't need to outrightly be so open about your past and let people that you don't even know yet know what you've learned from your past mistakes. That's what he's kind of trying to say, like live in the moment, live in the present, and be focused on what you intend for yourself. And I love the list idea. I think for her who likes journaling just like I do, making lists is like just another exercise for your journal. And those are another piece of wonderful advice from Jake, the dating expert.
For me, the word perfect does carry some weight because it feels like, oh, if I'm not doing all of these things all the time, then I'm not, like there's no way to be perfect and it's just a failing measure. But a good reframe for me that I picked up is like, what is my most favorite version of myself? Like, I'm going to be my most favorite version of myself right now.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. And that really helps frame my mindset in a way where it's like, yeah, I get to like clean my apartment right now. Like, that's my most favorite version of myself in this moment, getting all of the spots and like putting out flowers and doing all for whatever moment that may be.
That favorite energy that you just had, that's feminine energy. Okay, that's feminine energy in a nutshell. The opposite of feminine energy is fear.
Mm. Yeah, like there's only love. There's either love or there's fear. And
fear is the most expensive emotion. It's the most expensive emotion. It'll take from you everything if you allow it to.
I believe that for sure.
Jake, what is your book about?
How to Achieve a 10 out of 10 Relationship, guys. Good book. It's just the basics of what I teach. Okay, it's just the basics of what I teach. First chapter, masculine and feminine energy. It's a big part of it. But it covers communication, dating, all the general stuff. It's going to give you the basics. Okay. What I love about this book is my wife is on the cover, which I love. So great book. Link to that book's in my profile, guys. Or as Rach said at the start of the call, you can book in a free call with me. Everyone gets one free call. If you want help, don't call just to say hello. But if you actually want help, everyone gets one free call. You can get the hard copy book or audio book. There's only two options I offer on that one.
Thank you, Jake. I feel like there's a lot of big takeaways. I think the biggest one for me is in today's day and age, it's the norm to be online dating.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a little fantasy and like old school mindset to think that I could meet someone organically just out and about, but it just seems like people aren't as willing to approach other people in that way with the
Not anymore.
yeah, because the apps are like, this is intentional and we're both signing up for this. And in real life, it's like, no one's wanting to be a bother to somebody else. So yeah, that makes sense.
100%. Yeah. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. We all kind of have this idea in our mind that it's going to be like a Disney movie, like Enchanted, and you're going to meet your Prince Charming on the street. It's not really a thing. A lot of people think, well, I'm old school thinking I'm going to meet someone organically. Very, very few of those people had achieved a 10 out of 10. They had long relationships. At best, were a 6 out of 10. So they may have met organically, but their relationships were basically shit for 40 years. Okay. Yeah. They make it work because they like sticking together, but it was in no way a 10 out of 10. So we overly romanticize previous generations. Their relationships weren't great.
Should we like stop asking people how they met? Because I feel like some people are like, oh, we met through a dating app, and like there's still some like shame surrounding that. Whereas like when people asked how I met the last guy I was dating, I was like, oh, we met at a line country dancing bar. Like it was like a cute story to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably should stop asking. It's doesn't really matter anyway, does it?
Yeah.
If you could be in a 10 out of 10 by Christmas, I'd love that.
I would love that too.
Sharing hot chocolate in front of the fire, all that sort of stuff, so romantic. Michael Bublé. That's what we want to see. I'm a bit of a romantic. You can achieve it. We just gotta get you out there. At the moment, you're sort of holding yourself back. We've got to get you out there and go, hey, let's go.
And I agree yet again with Jake, the dating expert, that she is holding herself back. She needs to let go and just live life to the fullest, enjoy it, and be the best version of herself. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I just feel like she has a lot of fear that is holding her back, and her past experiences and what her reputation was. And all of that. So, Rachel, my advice too, let loose, have fun, enjoy it while you can. When the time is right, you will know. I promise. I hate to say it that way, and I understood how you might feel. Like, what do you mean? Like, when the time's right, it'll happen. I didn't know that either until it actually happened. You will know. You will feel it in your heart of hearts. There is just a little bit more to go, so let's finish this up.
It's scary, but you'll be okay. You got a whole support network.
Yeah.
You'll be totally fine. And this time you're going to do the choosing. So no more assholes, no more of these. There's so many assholes, no more of those guys. Let's find someone great.
I think that's the biggest takeaway.
No assholes.
There's that. But no, her doing the choosing, because I do think if you look at all of her past relationships, she was chosen. She was love bombed. She was young. No, I'm not letting her off the hook. She made bad decisions and she's accountable for her part. But those people definitely chose her, love bombed her, and then, to a certain amount of newness and age and maybe naivete and hope, she went with them, right? And then found the monstrous side. But I feel like this, as much as I'm shocked about all the online dating stuff, I think for her to have those parameters and the ability to choose is, I think that's going to be very empowering for her.
Oh, 100%. I think one good thing, so online dating gets a lot of slack, but I think one good thing about it is it empowers women to choose and gives them the power. So many women get into relationships just because they were chosen, and sometimes almost even bullied into a relationship, and they never really had a choice. They didn't choose anybody, and then they just go, well, I guess I'm with this guy and I'll learn to love him. Classic Beauty and the Beast story. That's what it was about. So, but now it empowers women to go, now you get to choose who you want to be with. It's the way to go.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jake. And we can find you on Instagram. What's your handle again?
I think it's Jake Maddock. And on TikTok, I'm Coach Jake Maddock. So it's kind of confusing. But look, if you just type in Jake Maddock, guys, you'll find me. It shouldn't be too hard. But Rach, thanks for the great interview. Great questions. relationships and love can be a very heavy thing, can't it? Like the conversations can be quite deep and stir up a lot of emotions. Yeah. But also hopefully stir up a lot of enthusiasm and excitement for the future too.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Well, there you guys go. There is Jake, the dating expert. I will link his TikTok and IG down below for you guys, along with his book, if that is something that you guys are interested in. I think he had a lot of wonderful advice. I do feel like they were a little bit, strong-minded on certain aspects of what worked best for Rachel, and I get it. They're trying to protect her from getting hurt again, but that is like number one thing, is not to have fear, and not to have fear of getting hurt. In life, we are going to get hurt regardless, and we just need to learn how to be able to pick ourselves up from that hurt and keep moving forward with our life and do better for ourselves and for our partner when you find that perfect match. I could say a lot about, the whole James and Rachel situation. I do feel like, in the sense, yes, James did pick Rachel, though she also made her presence known to him, and she pushed that issue, made sure she was right in front, and all of that. We had heard it back then. I'm not going to rehash it and argue the point, but we know what happens. And I think that all of this is a learning lesson from her. She needs to not live in the past, live in the future, live in the moment, and keep pushing forward. I think this was wonderful advice for people that are out there dating. And if you are somebody that is out in the dating world, I hope that you gained a lot of knowledge from this. Even people that are in relationships like myself, I gained a lot of perspective of just different things that I can do to be a better human being and a person in the relationship and for myself. And I think that it was a great conversation. I think we also learned a lot about Rachel's past date that she had, Mr. Matt, and what happened there, because we kind of were left in the dark, and I understand why. It gives a good insight to where she is, and I wish her all the best. I always have, and I always will, regardless of how I feel. I just want the best for everybody. That is who I am as a human being. That is who I am as a person. And everybody deserves happiness. Everyone deserves to be the best that they can be. Unfortunately, we live in a cruel world, and there's a lot of cruel things that happen, but the positive is what matters. Life is way too short for the bullshit. We need to keep pushing forward, keeping ourselves, keeping real to who we are, and always keep shining. Don't let anyone dull your shine. I hope you all have a great day, and we will be back here very soon for another one. We got a lot of catching up to do, and I'm going to be popping them out for you. Bye, everybody.
I wanna burn all the bridges between us.